What do we have here? Some Miguron.
MIGURON.
We got the Valona, which is an awesome like, big full-size knife, and then we got the Prior 2, I think is what it's called. And it's also full-size, but not quite as big as the Valona. This one's been heavily modified. Lots of grindings on it, anodizing, polishing. The blade got trimmed so that it had sort of a harpoon, but it was back here. It's got one of the smoothest actions of any knife, really. Super smooth, super fast drop shutty guillotine. Let's see if I can. Whoop, oh, whoop. Dang it, keep catching my thumbnail. Good thing it's not my thumb. There we go. Super fast action, nice and smooth. Now, if you got one, it wouldn't have the two-tone blade like this, and it's not going to have all this pretty anodizing on it. But I still recommend it. I think it's a really cool knife. Yours probably won't make this tong noise either. Listen to this noise. Can you hear that? That's just the pocket clip sitting up off the body just a bit, and it's been anodized, pretty hard coat anodized, so that it has a nice tong noise. Now, I was just showing you like my favorite Miguron that I have, but I mean the Valona is great too. And what we're going to do today is we're going to modify this Valona. I think we might do a quick unboxing too. The box just came in, package just came in, so we'll unbox that after. So you have to sit through the modifications first. Now the Valona is a sweet liner lock. I think they're only like 45 bucks, something like that. It's about a 4-inch blade, just a big chunker. It's got a great swedge up here, 14C28N. The swedge is great to reverse flick or a thumb flick even. Just a really, really nice knife. Very slicey. Great edge retention for 14C. You know, for a $45 knife, great edge retention. Centering still on point after being carried, I don't even know, 30 times. I carry it, quite a bit. I guess that's sort of a pocket pecker. Who says that? Oh, Nick Shabazz, that's it. He calls them a pocket pecker when it has a little sharp, kind of pointy flipper tab. And this one does have that. You could actually, eliminate the flipper tab if you wanted, and it would still work fine. Interesting. Or you could make it a little shorter. I wouldn't do that on the black blade because then it would be a little silver showing right there. But if you had the silver blade, these come in all kinds of sizes too. They have it in, I think, 2 other sizes, like a small and then like a medium, I think. And the medium is like 3.5 inch, and it's a higher end. Like with M390 or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Miguron's a great maker, man. They make all kinds of great stuff. And a lot of their stuff is like pretty close to being really awesome. Now, they don't have that many that really are really awesome, but they have some that are pretty damn good and almost really awesome, So they have a lot of knives like that. But the Valona, for its price, is pretty damn awesome. But one thing that I don't love about it is, look how thick the handle profile is. It's just a little too thick. Let's see. Let's look at this black mirror. That's about an average nice knife thickness. Look how much different that is. That's crazy thick, man. So what I'm going to do is take this guy apart, and we're going to figure out a little scheme to make these scales a little thinner and then also profile them a little toward the edge so that they have a little bit of contouring too. And I think then it will be a little nicer feeling in the hand. It's not bad now, but it'll be nicer. So I'm going to take it apart, and we'll talk about what we're going to do with these scales. In the meantime, we unbox. Man, I hope this is something good. Let's use the Valona to open her up. Maybe I could just open the tape and not have to cut the cardboard box lock, because this is a nice size box. I might want to reuse this particular box to, ship things to people or whatever. Okay. Oh, a CJRB. Oh, I think I know what this is. All right. So I had one of these before, but I had the G10 version. This is the aluminum one. So we're going to see. Wow, look at that. Look how many. Wow, really? Did you overstuff it with really? What the fuck, man? How about put some padding in there? Let me see. Yeah, that's no good. Come on. Do better than that. That's chintzy, man. So what is this guy anyway? It is the aluminum handled Agave. Let's check it out, man. This is a user, I think. Well, maybe it's not. Shit, I'm not sure. It looks kind of new. We'll find out. Boy, that looks pretty nice. I'm not seeing any wear on it, obviously. Maybe a little bit on the clip there. Yeah, it might be used. Yeah, I don't really remember. I bought it on eBay, and let's see. If it's used, it should be scratched up on the aluminum a bit. Yeah, I don't see anything. Interesting. They use the same steel liners that they use with the G10 version, and they just put an aluminum scale over it. Boy, that aluminum's a tad bit slippery. Let's pop it. Whoop. That flipper tab is actually a tiny bit slippery. But that's easily fixed. We can just run some sandpaper back and forth across it like this, about 250, and you'll have a much better grip. Dang, it really is slippery. Okay. That is a nice looking blade, man. Made in China, says right there. Is that rust? Hope that's not rust right there. Looks like some gunk on the blade. I don't know. It's got some numbers. Oh, it's D2, so it could rust. Boy, that is just a nice shaped blade. Nice, I guess you'd call it a Wharncliffe? Or is it a sheep's foot? It's a very pointy sheep's foot, maybe. I don't know. Liner lock. Like I said, steel frames, and they're cut away. I don't know if you can see down inside that it has, yeah, some holes cut through the steel liners. So that looks nice. Very interesting. It's a tad bit heavy. Okay, got a nice double clutch, which isn't the best. Oof, that is not drop shutty. Wow. Huh. So we might want to do a little lock bar adjustment on this guy so that it can be a little more drop shutty and not so hard to open, because man, it is even hard to get. That is a very tough opening. Let's see, is it too tight maybe? Nope. So no, bearings aren't too tight. You can see the blade flopping around. So I think we need to do a little lock bar adjust on this guy. I can show you what I do for a lock bar adjust sometimes. Instead of bending the lock bar, I do a different thing than some people do. So let's take this guy apart, and then we'll see what I do to adjust this lock bar a little bit, make it easier to open and a little more drop shutty, because it's like the opposite of drop shutty right now. And I like them to be drop shutty, man. The profile, though, I love that profile. That is a pretty, really nice profile. Let's get it apart.
Meanwhile, Valona modding continues unabated.
We got this bad boy apart, and as you can see, there isn't much of a bevel on the edge of these scales. Just a little tiny bevel. We want to make it into a longer bevel so that it just makes it feel more contoured, basically. And then we're going to do some kind of treatment on this part, too, to just actually thin them out a little bit, too. So we'll see what we do. Oh, little side note. Nice, big, beefy T8 screws in the body. Just nicely built, well-constructed knife. And very well skeletonized to make it nice and light, too. But still strong in the right places where it needs to be. Very good job, Miguron.
Meanwhile, across town, the agave is finally disassembled.
These aluminum scales are really, really light because they're so hollowed out to sit on top of these little frames or liners underneath. Look how greasy and oily that is. That is just kind of gross there.
At that same moment, rock grinds.
All right, so we got the scales prettied up with lots of cool rock grindy little thingies on them, and we got the backspacer rock grinded up too. I decided to go with that. So now I'm going to put it back together, and we will see if it's cool.
Then, without warning, the agave had an anomaly.
So that's kind of interesting. It has a D-shaped pivot, so this side can't turn, but it has a Torx bit hole right there, which is weird. Why would you put a Torx bit hole when you can't turn that side? But I don't actually know why they would do that. It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's coming apart like it should. No problems.
But then he discovered...
So I didn't notice this till just now. Each of the little standoffs has a little D-shaped side. The other side is not D-shaped. So you have to put it in the lock side first and start from there, putting it back together. Because if you don't, the little things won't line up right. So if you start from the other side and you put in the round side, or even the side with the D shape, it'll fit in the other side. You won't be able to put it together, and that's what happens. So now I got to put it together right with the little D-shaped standoffs, in the little D-shaped holes on the lock side first.
Then a hidden modification was
So
discovered.
this is what I'm talking about here. See so we have this liner stuck inside of the aluminum scale, and we can see that now the lock bar is much easier to move. And the reason it's much easier to move, you can't see it on this side, but the cutaway that I did is on the inside. So see that little dip right there? Just took a Dremel and cut that out a little bit to about half the thickness that it was, maybe 2/3, somewhere between 2/3 and half the thickness, and now it's just easier to move. So it's still sprung in the same distance, so I didn't adjust it in more, but I made it to where it is easier to move. That's it. So it'll be more drop shutty and just easier to unlock. So we'll get it back together and see how that works.
But first, the Valona was completed.
So there we go. We got some rock grinds on this MIGURON Valona. I even put some on the back spacer. I feel like they tie in pretty well. Sometimes, you know, I'm new at this rock grind stuff, so sometimes things don't tie in well when I do them, but I think this looks good. I left the little lines across there, but just tied in the rocks right after. And then I put a little sort of a hand rubbed finish on the blade because the scales kind of turned kind of gray, so I thought maybe sort of a grayish look on the blade might be nice with the scales. So I think it came out pretty good. I'm not an expert at this hand rub thing either. Trying to get them all parallel is kind of a B word. But yeah, I think it looks nice overall, and it went back together great.
But how did the agave turn out?
All right, I literally just got it back together, so I don't know if it's going to be that much better. The detent does feel a little weaker. That's good because it was too strong. And I don't know if the lockup is going to be affected. Looks like the centering is pretty good. Okay, I think I have it tight now. Yep, blade is tight. Oh yeah, that's way better. Okay, so the detent is a tad light, but it's still not drop shutty. So I'm not gonna bend the bar in anymore. I think it's probably pretty good now. Yeah, that's not bad, man. Got a nice sound to it. Yeah, it's not too weak. Boy, that flipper tab could be cut a lot. I think it's so long. I like this knife. It's got a nice slicey blade, nice pointy blade. Boy, that thing is pretty sharp. I think it might actually be sharp. Let's grab a piece of paper and see how I used RPM 9, which is basically 9CR steel, nothing fancy, is going to cut because it feels like it's sharp. Oh my. Yeah, okay. So it's used, but he must not have cut too much with it because 9CR steel, which ARPM 9 is basically, shouldn't hold an edge quite that well if you're using it a lot. So I think it's probably not very used, which is nice. You know, I think this is probably a basically new blade I got with it. What a great blade shape it is. Full-size choil, if you want to choke up on it. My fingers aren't particularly fat, and I can kind of feel just the beginning of the edge there. So if you got fat fingers, that choke up's probably not going to work for you. But if you got, you know, average size hands, probably work pretty good. Now the only downside on this guy, compared to the G10 model that I used to have, this aluminum is a bit slippery. But I have an idea for that. My buddy Jared Douglas, who does the lasering, what if we put some like dragon scales on this guy, or fish scales? Lasered them in all along here for some grip and for a cool look. How cool would that look, man? I think it would look really nice. I changed the pocket clip too while I was at it. This was the other one. They're very similar, but this one has the duck bill. I think maybe I just cut the bill off of this one and rounded it off. It was in my, bunches of pocket clips I have laying around. So I think it looks nicer. Is it shorter? If it's shorter, then that would make sense that I cut it off. Let's see. No, it's not shorter. So maybe it came that way. I don't know, on some other CJRB type knife or something. I'm not sure where it came from, but it should work. Let's try it. Oopsie, just put it on top of another knife in my pocket. Yeah, it works great. CJRB agave 9CR. Oh no, I lied. This isn't 9CR. D2. I'm stupid. I forgot. It's D2. So that kind of makes sense. D2 is a little bit better at holding an edge than 9CR. I don't know why I forgot that it was D2. I think I said it earlier. But yeah, the lock access feels better now. That drop shuttiness is there. It's not a guillotine or anything, but man, one little shake and it's down. That's really nice. Boy, I really like this guy. I think the agave is kind of an underrated CJRB knife. You never heard anyone talking about it, but the ergos are terrific. The blade shape is terrific. Yeah, I just wish it wasn't slippery. But I think we're going to have this guy lasered, and it's going to look really cool.
And so does the Bologna.
But yeah, I think it looks nice overall. And went back together great. Very cool knife, as well as the CJRB, what the heck's this stupid thing called? Agave? Yeah. So we got these two pretty boys finished up now. And that's all I have for today. So have a nice day.